everyone. A very early good evening to all of you. And thank you so much for joining us for this live session. Presenting to you the next in our series of Meet with Digital Thinkers Fireside Chat, wherein we showcase stories of digital leaders transforming businesses using technology. Before I actually get our digital leader to come and talk about his story, I want to just take a few minutes to set the context of what we are going to be talking about today. When we talk about business continuity in today's context, we all agree that it is at the core of an organization's success strategy. And a key pillar enabling this business continuity amidst the uncertainty is definitely collaboration. And today, more than ever, the need for collaboration is crucial to ensure zero disruption to business. However, the biggest challenge that most organizations face today when it comes to collaboration is having to deal with their legacy systems. And most often, these legacy IT systems are unable to keep up with the growth and expansion that the organization has undergone over the years, and they're unable to support the expectations around speed, agility, and flexibility that today's collaborative environments require. And the COVID-19 pandemic has proven the inadequacy of the legacy systems as businesses were required to manage the entire workforce to work remotely. So all this ultimately ends up impacting productivity and efficiency of the workforce. So what can really help businesses push the boundaries of collaboration around performance to empower business transformation is cloud. When it comes to ubiquity and removing the complexities around technology, cloud can help redefine collaboration and take it to a whole new level by enabling that ubiquity and removing the complexities. So today, we want to bring to you the story of Voltas Limited, India's leading air conditioner company and premier engineering solutions provider, and how we are going to talk about how, as an established organization such as Voltas, with lots of legacy IT systems, was able to successfully move to a next-generation cloud platform to reap the benefits of seamless collaboration and lower costs. And to talk about how cloud has helped Voltas take its collaboration culture up a notch, I have with me Mr. Sanjay Sinha, CIO Voltas Limited. In his role as the CIO, Sanjay is responsible for the technology roadmap of the company and its adoption to support business functions and provide a competitive edge to the organization in today's ever-changing landscape. Prior to Voltas, Sanjay was part of the business transformation team of TCS India, engaging with select key accounts. He joined TCS from Microsoft India, where he worked in various roles connected to large Indian enterprises across the manufacturing, BFSI, and PS domains. So welcome, Sanjay. And to take the discussion forward and understand Voltas' cloud journey, I would like to invite Kamolika Peris, Director Sales, Google Cloud India. A seasoned business leader and technologist, Kamolika comes with over 20 years of experience in consulting, business and technology transformation, and enterprise sales. Kamolika has also been a passionate advocate for diversity, equality, and inclusion during her career, sponsoring the efforts on behalf of SAP India during her tenure there as VP, as well as participating in numerous other forums and interest groups on women in technology. So thank you so much, Mr. Sinha and Kamolika, for joining us today. So I would, Kamolika, I would hand it over to you here to take the discussion forward.
Thank you, Shipran. Thank you for that fantastic intro and setting it up the way that you did. Sanjay, welcome to the session. Really looking forward to hearing your insights about the transformation that you led at Voltas. And I'm going to kick it off with the first question, right? Now, Voltas, the journey that it's gone through in the last decade or so, has obviously been one of the most, the most well-known transformation stories in corporate India, right? Becoming the unassailable leader in the domestic AC segment, going into new and innovative segments, and really in terms of making a fundamental change in the way that the organization was working. I just wanted to hear your perspective on what it was like to be a part of this journey and seeing this change in Voltas.
Good afternoon, Kamolika, and thanks, Shipra, for the introduction. And thanks to the Google team for this opportunity to interact with people. And good afternoon to all the participants whom I cannot see. But thanks to this technology, we are able to, sitting at our homes, talk to each other, share ideas, share thoughts. A great experience. And coming back to your question, Kamalika, Voltas, quite an old company, more than 50 years, multiple businesses, multiple geographies. And it's been a wonderful experience being part of this organization as we have grown. We have grown in our businesses, the number of businesses that we have, the number of entities, JVs, the number of places that we have reached out to, the number of people that we have onboarded, and the number of offerings that we have added to our portfolio. So when you have an organization like this and in a situation like this, there are very basic things that come on. There are more places to connect to. There are more people to engage with, whether they are internal stakeholders or external stakeholders. An external could be tier 1, which is your B2B partners. It could be your dealers, distributors, franchisees, technicians, and your end customers, your consumers. There are, so once you're engaging with a wider group, a more varied group, your responses have to be faster. And the whole collaboration takes on a new meaning. So you can't be in a small organization, you walk up to somebody's room and you can speak face to face. So even before the COVID situation, the ability to connect and the ability to be always available for a formal discussion or the solution of a problem was very much a key requirement sort of for Voltas. And our technology adoptions, our decisions, our roadmap were in line with this very key and very fundamental sort of a need that the company had. So great journey, and standing here, if we look into the future, the aspirations that the company has, and we have to look into that also. And the decisions you make today will ensure how efficient you will continue to be and how connected you will continue to be in the years to come with the roadmap that you have, with the aspirations that you have. So gratifying experience, great stories of technology adoption, culture change, and the way people are working.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for painting that picture, Sanjay. I myself was briefly a trainee with Voltas in my days in the TAS, and it's really amazing to hear you talk about it the way that you do. I think we're all, you feel pride at having been associated with Voltas at some point of time. Let me ask you the next question, right? A lot of companies live with, legacy IT systems, right? And very often the prevalent logic is, if it's working, then and why do anything different, right? At which point did it strike you that the legacy IT and systems would not be enough for what you actually wanted to do, for the vision that you had in the future? And what told you that it was time for a change?
Yeah, there was a point of decision. There was a point in time where the decision was to be made. And let me tell you, Voltas was one of the first companies in India to adopt the Google collaboration platform, the G Suite, and the first Tata company. And being the first is not an easy decision to make. So a lot of background evaluation and all that goes into the whole decision-making process. So earlier we were on Lotus Notes, and we had about 16, 17 offices, required a separate server, and there were limitations to the way you could access and where you could access and when you could access your email. And this I'm talking about 8-9 years ago, when it was very clearly realized by the organizations across domains that a steno with a typewriter is not the norm of the day. Formal communication will be on email, it will be faster, and an email will be deemed as formally as a formal way of communicating. So we were at a point where we had to take a decision. Either we upgrade the Lotus Notes, we take a new technology, or we go completely cloud. And these are decisions, while it might, for some people, it might look or seem not a big one, but this is something that we went right up to the board for. So there are a lot of considerations to be thought of. First of all, being your email resides in somebody else's servers. So that's one of the things that comes first. So one by one, all the questions had to be answered. And on the downstream, we had to work with Google, and they assured us about the safety of the platform and its features. So on the one hand, there was data security, which was paramount. On the other hand, it was user interface, the usability, because it would be a great change. This is one of the applications that unknowingly we use the maximum, irrespective of which role you are in. This is an application that you use most. And to share with you a small piece of conversation with my earlier managing director, if I were to ask him, sir, what is your data? I was talking about data security and I was making a whole plan. He said, my email. If you have my email secure, I'm good. So that is the importance that the company realized this platform needs to have. And a few very key features helped us take this call. One was the ubiquity. That was the time, say around 2010, 2011, when smartphones had come into the picture and we were going beyond the BlackBerry era, where you could get corporate messaging only on BlackBerry, and you are traveling in a bus wanting to board your airport, then three people fish out their BlackBerry, and even if they don't have anything important, they want to check their email to show that they can check their email. So the ubiquity of the platform was one of the things that really was a key factor. The speed. So because it is always with you, you can respond faster. And in the scenario that we were in, when we were growing, we were interacting with customers, with our stakeholders, with employees. That response was a need of the hour. The convenience, of course. The interface on the browser was good. By that time, most of the people had their own personal email IDs also, either on a Gmail or Yahoo or at that time Live or Bing, whatever you want to call it. So the interfaces were very similar, and the ability to be able to be connected always was there. From an IT perspective, we look at the manageability, the admin console, because there are occasions when you want to do some tracing, some audit, and you want to dig out what happened three days ago or 4 days ago, and if there is a possible breach. While these were the outward-looking features that we looked at and we tested the platform against, I, being an IT person, I couldn't help but do a double click on security too. So I always ask my people that what is the utility of brakes in a car? Okay. More often than not, I get the answer. It is to make sure that the car stops. I said, no, that is not the utility. That's not the work of the brake. The utility of the brakes in the car is to make it go faster. If you don't have brakes in your car, you will not drive your car faster. So security is something that I always look at. And there were features, and over the years it has improved much. Over the last decade, it's almost a decade that we adopted this. So these were some of the things. And I didn't have to worry about 18 servers in 18 locations and updating the hardware and patching the software and version management and license management, contract management every 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And if I have, say, I open up a new project, I have 100 new people being inducted, then again go back and take those licenses and deploy them. So the whole availability, management, contracting, licensing, the provisioning, onboarding, and the deprovisioning, all these were a marked change from the platform that we were earlier on. And these helped us, and this was the English when presented to the board. They didn't have any qualms about moving to the cloud.
That's fantastic, Sanjay. So, for a lot of organizations, therefore, who are contemplating the move to cloud, and your vision and you did it much earlier, ahead of the market, really, in that sense, touches upon all these themes, right? Consensus building, sponsorship from the top, making the right arguments to be able to say that, yes, we can move, right? What do you think was the most important of all of these? If you have to pick one that, let's say for organizations who are looking to move to cloud, what is the most important factor?
I think the most important factor is to first realize how critical this platform is. Okay, and then once you get it, I remember when I started my career way back. I'm an ancient person. Email was just coming up. Okay, I was on DECnet messaging. I don't know how many of you have worked on the VAX VMS platform. So digital terminals and all. We were using internal DECnet messaging. So first of all, it is for the organization to realize it is critical, and then weigh it against the core requirement. So the core requirement is always available and secure. Okay. So, for instance, I've had to worry about a lot of applications that I have on-prem when post-March 21st this year, when we announced lockdown following the Maharashtra government's order. I had to worry about a lot of applications, and we have had, our people could not go to the data center for the tape movement of backups. We could not upgrade some of the systems because we wanted to add some storage in one of our sandboxes. The Google platform is something that I didn't have to worry about. Okay, so even if today I want 100 more licenses, it's just 1 or 2 emails away. Okay, and it'll be, so that is the core, that you are taking out the whole manageability and the availability and the whole assurance part. If I could sort of club all of them together into one English word, I would call it the assurance, the shut it, fill it, the fill it, shut it, forget it phenomenon.
Right.
That is something that is very important. That was the main thing. But having said that, it has value only when it is on a very secure platform. Okay, so that was our main thing, but the validations were done on the security of it. When the security was established, the data and the leakage of data or the ownership of data, or the way, once that was established, then the whole assurance part was, I think, that for me, that would be the key.
Understood. No, and I think you make an excellent point, because I think it is in the end the assurance and the trust that underpins a lot of these discussions about moving to cloud, adopting new technologies. That is truly the key, and I believe that as well. Let me ask you this question, Sanjay. Now that you've undertaken this transformation and you've been on G Suite for some time, right? What are the changes that you think happened because of this, right? Because of the whole collaboration framework changing, right? A lot of people adopting it, and that kind of changing the way in which the organization that works. What do you think that you were able to do that you may not have been able to do if you hadn't made this change?
Yeah, that's so on the technical points. Everything that I said was so sort of painted a rosy picture. When it comes to actual engaging with people and doing a change management, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of engagement, and it takes a lot of preparation. And whether it is the technology adoption part or whether it is the deployment, the evaluation, adoption in the sense, the evaluation part or the deployment part, the importance of how it is. Because again, some people might say it's just an email interface, just roll it out and people will get used to it over a period of time. Right. That is not how it actually works. Okay, at the end of the day, whatever one is doing, I might have some very exotic servers and applications and everything on the back end. But my user who comes into the office, sits down and switches on her or his laptop, they don't care about what I have in the data center. if their system, if their laptop does not work, their email messaging does not work, then that is downtime for them. So we have to reach out to each individual. I think this is something that everybody uses. Okay, so it touches everyone. So that's the first thing that we have to realize, that the change management has to include everyone. Secondly, it has to be done in a way that it does not fall into the not invented here syndrome, that somebody has pushed it down our throat. I was so comfortable. People are not very open to change. They are very comfortable doing things that they have been doing over the past many years. So there has to be some sort of an excitement injected into the whole process. There has to be some incentive, not as an incentive, but as that this is these are the things which are better. These are things that now you can do. So that English has to be part of the payload that you actually give to the people. So continuous engagement, a lot of training, a lot of communication. We also had these, internally we used to call it the Thursday Guru, and the partner Searce helped us a lot in that, where one small tip or a trick, how to BCC, as simple as that, how to change your signature, how to create a calendar invite. So every Thursday we would send one small enough for people to be able to read and digest and understand in not more than 60 seconds. Okay. And one a week for a month was good enough. And then that openness, and we had set up help desks all across. So this was the people change management that we had to do. A big change was migrating from a client-based email to a browser-based email. I think the one of the biggest barriers that we had to cross was this. And I'm happy to share with you that once it was crossed, people don't want to go back to the previous world. So because the search is so good, the way you can manage your sort of flags and all that is so good that they're quite happy working on the browser now, and they're quite adept now because over the years they have been using it. So that was sort of one. The other thing that happened is the use of the calendar. Now, this is something that did not happen in India still. At least I can't speak for India. I can speak for my organization. That we still had meetings which were not part of the calendar. Okay, so one would pick up the phone. We have this to discuss, and they would go. This is something that I have seen change completely, not dramatically, but completely post-COVID. Okay, so every meeting, even a small 10-minute discussion or just an update that my team gives to me, it is entered into the calendar because everybody is at home. So we are not able to sort of talk or walk into somebody's room, and you're not sure whether I'm already in a call or not. So this adoption has been complete. So everyone, and I take this feedback, before going to bed every night, they just open up the calendar, what are the meetings tomorrow, so that they are mentally prepared for that. So this collaboration thing, that has changed. One of the things that has changed dramatically over the years, and initially there was not a lot of adoption, but it was increasing when people started seeing the value, is these small bits and pieces of localized applications that got created by people. So a small Google form or an Excel sheet which everybody is updating, and the very easy problems, not easy, easy to solve problems with the tools that we have, but things that were a big hassle earlier. So Bombay office, booking a conference room, very easily done. We are going for an offsite, there are 60 people, just send me your t-shirt sizes, very easily done. Because online, multiple people can work concurrently rather than send a mail and getting a reply, 60 messages, I am XL, I am M, I am S, but everybody goes and just fills it up. Yeah. And then people realize the value. So microsites have come up, small sheets have come up, even the ID management that I do in Google, that I do in one of the Google Sheets. So this is a common ID attached to this person. So this is a big change that has come up in people. And I think the fact that email is a formal communication, and if I say, okay, I'm giving you even an LOI, letter of intent, which earlier used to be a typewritten letter, even that on an email is a valid formal document now. Okay, so that is the realization that has come because we interact with a lot of external people where we give commitments on changes to projects and everything else. So that has come over. It has the ability of messaging to integrate with applications. I think that has been plus. So I have an approval in SAP and it triggers an email in Google. So I don't have to keep on logging into my applications every other hour to see whether I have an approval pending or not. So I receive the notifications on email. So that has made people more connected to the backend applications, whether it is CRM or ERP or a host of all other applications that we have. These would be some of the, I can go on. So in the interest of the time, so these were the main things that I would say that have brought about as changes in the organization. And
this is fascinating. Yes.
Was not very easy to change. So people had been working on the previous platform for ages. But once you cross the barrier, then going back to the previous world is not something that people would want.
No, I mean, it's fascinating to hear you talk about it, Sanjay, because, for us, G Suite was something that was built around the way that Google, that we ourselves worked, right? It kind of underpinned the whole collaborative culture, the culture of innovation within Google. And it's really interesting to hear you talk about your journey. And sometimes it's the small improvements, like you say, one sheets where everybody's data is collected, right? One collaboration that somebody can do on a video conference or on a PPT. But those things, when added together over multiple such instances, actually end up changing the culture of the organization. So would you say that you've seen that in Voltas, that overall the culture itself has fundamentally changed owing to some of these small but meaningful changes?
Fundamentally, yeah, a big change, and not only a big change. See, and the byproduct is also very interesting. So around the Google Suite, people have changed, they have adopted, they have started working a bit differently, but they are now open, and this is something that one doesn't realize. It's not there on the surface. They are open to more changes from the technology perspective. So they now realize that technology will take them a bit further than all their endeavors. So what this has done, and because this was so intimate in the sense that they were working on it, everybody is working, and they are working on it for quite a long length of time during the working day. If this has given them such a big advantage, then they are very open generally to other technology changes that we introduce, for which earlier there would be a slight sort of, if not a pushback, then at least an indifference.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you make. It opens people's eyes to more possibilities of technological change. And I think that's very valuable.
And
in fact, it's a great
situation where it is a demand now, that why can't this also be like this? And we are facing it. So from averse to change or a pushback to wanting a change to welcoming the change. And the third thing that now we are actually seeing is the demand for change. Okay, for instance, when my technician goes to repair an AC under warranty, okay, and he used to come back to the franchisee and then close the call. The demand for change was, why can't the technician close it there itself? So this is how, and this was the first platform that we introduced to our users, which helped us change this mindset.
No, that's amazing. And actually, it's a great segue into the question that I had in mind, is that, with the whole COVID and the lockdown situation, right? It was in the end, the organizations that were digitally enabled that actually rode the wave smoothly, right? And I'd love to hear your experience on this, not only on G Suite, but also how further changes are getting triggered, by this whole lockdown and pandemic phenomenon.
Yeah. So, 2-3 things that worked very well for us. One is the Meet, and we didn't use Meet a lot. Okay, some groups sort of used it. Service groups, the service division, the service team actually, they used it. But post the pandemic, I think it is universal now. And it is so convenient. Just sort of set up a meeting, everybody is there on the company directory, choose the email, and then set up a meet. And quite fast, very easy. The second thing that has happened is, which I've been driving a lot since the last 3-4 years, and the Google team is also aware of it, the usage of Google Drives. And with the Drive Sync, now you call it. So with that, what's happened is, and in IT, I used to do this, and then I used to tell people that how I manage all my, I don't have any official documents on my laptop. Okay, everything is on the IT drive, and the different folders are shared to the different teams. So the infra team has one, the help desk team has one, the application team, SAP team, they have their own drives, and then you don't have to go to the browser and drive and download, because with the drive sync, it's as if it's in your local machine, and you can work offline. That in work from home has worked wonders, because all the documents are available to everybody. Okay, otherwise we have this limitation of 10 Mbps, like in most other organizations, that can be sent through email. If this had not been there, drive thing had not been there, and the way we store our documents, it would have been a big problem for us. So Meet has been there, calendars, everybody is on calendar. Okay, so this was the biggest change. Meet was a requirement, but calendar was an embrace, if I can sort of call it that way. So, and the calendars can be shared, and 2 calendars can be merged, and the holiday calendar that we have corporate goes to your own calendar. You know, this is a holiday, not an holiday. So this is something that people have embraced. Meet is something that is now hygiene, and the fact of the matter is, this certification comes from the fact that it's been, I think, 4 months, April, May, June, July. At times I'm of the opinion that no news is good news, and everybody is working. There has been no escalation at all on the messaging platform and the collaboration platform. Wow. What has happened is people have asked how to do this, how to do that. So we have given a communication about how to use Google Meet, how to make sure that if you're setting up an appointment, the Meet invite also goes. That we have done. But as a escalation, as a problem that this is not happening or my mail is not working, so that has not come. Okay. While the adoption has increased manifold. Okay. I've been communicating to all the people about being very, very careful about this spoofing and all that stuff, which no security insulation in any sort of system can do. If you click on a link, you get spoofed or you get hacked. So that we have been sort of also communicating very regularly, more so after COVID, because people are using this as an example to phish users. Sure. But I think post-COVID, this has been there, and it's now become from a platform of requirement or a platform of choice, it has become a factor of hygiene for us now.
Oh, you put it so well, factor of hygiene. So that's really good to know. And it's good to know that the platform, became one of your strengths throughout this lockdown period, and was able to deliver the value that, that you expected from it. So that's wonderful. Sanjay, so what's one last question? And actually your account of this whole transformation is so fascinating. But the one thing that I would ask you is that, we get a lot of questions from established organizations who have a lot of investments in legacy IT, that should they consider G Suite, should they move out of it, what will it mean for them? What would your message be for some of these organizations who are looking to make the cloud journey, especially on G Suite and Google Meet?
So, and you're comparing it with people who have the legacy on-prem.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. See, the legacy on-prem systems have their life. So, not today, not tomorrow, maybe day after. There will come a point in time, okay, where they will have to make the choices that we have made a decade ago. There will come. In legacy, that there will be a hardware refresh, there will be a version upgrade, there will be licensing restructuring, something or the other will be there on-prem. Okay, that's how on-prem is. Okay, it has its advantages. Okay, and but that is how it is. So they have to have it in their plan. That is one. Okay, they must have it in their plan, and I think the longevity of such a platform should be considered not less than 6 years. Okay, because if you take 6 years, whatever on-prem system you take, you will include at least one license, version, and hardware refresh in that.
Right.
Okay. If you consider it for, say, 10 years, maybe the cloud will be more attractive, but at least for 6 years. If you take it only for 2 years, and you have done hardware refresh just 1 year ago, a cloud proposition might seem more commercially non-viable, but you should do it for at least 6 years. That is one. Secondly, you have to look at where you want to focus on. Okay. You can't afford people today, 3-4 people in various locations, to manage your hardware and infrastructure and licensing and the whole configuration and patching for legacy on-prem systems for something as critical now as a messaging platform and a collaboration platform. Remember, the world also is changing. Like I said, it is now accepted as a medium for formal, official, contractual communication also. So you have to make sure that it is good. There are things, for instance, in our overseas projects, we take the vault functionality, even the email which is deleted, that has to be preserved because there could be, I make a building, I have completed it, and 12 years later, if there is a fire in that building, and we have done the firefighting for that, we need those documentation. Okay, because there will be certain, there might be, not will be, there might be certain. So the documentation is very important, and today all that is on email. Okay, so these are the things that people have to realize. One is take it for a minimum of 6 years, the cost of ownership. Second is look at the availability and the manageability part. Don't forget that there's a lot of cost, hidden costs that are involved. And not only cost, bandwidth is required. Okay, more than the cost, it is the bandwidth of the team which is managing IT that is required. You have to arrange for shutdown and a patching and upgrade and refresh, all and everything else that goes with that. The whole cycle of procurement of hardware and all those things. Third is the availability. Like I said, post-COVID, this is one thing that I did not have to worry about. Okay, that also depends upon the platform you choose. Okay, so there are multiple platforms available. So something like a Google, it's not that it will not have a problem, but it will have the least amount of problem considering the scale and that it has, that it is sort of built upon. Okay, and the resilience is very high. If there is a problem, it will come back very fast. So that is the other thing, the availability part. This is something that you cannot live without. Okay, so these are some of the factors that they have to sort of look at. And I'm sure in your engagements, you have conversations with your customers where you sort of stress upon these things. There have been, because we were the first startup company, a lot of people came to us for reference. We didn't have any other company to go for reference, but a lot of people came to us for reference. And these are the conversations that I had with them.
Got it. Oh, great, Sanjay. Thank you so much for painting that perspective. And, it was fascinating hearing about your journey. That courage to take a bold decision almost 10 years ago, a very different direction in which the path you charted for transformation, and the improvements and the change in culture that came through, right right down to the pandemic, where you were able to pivot very, very seamlessly to deal with an unprecedented situation. So thank you so much for telling us that story. Really, really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure and a privilege having you here. Thank you so much. Shipra, I'm going to hand this back to you now.
Yeah, thank you, Kamalika, and thank you, Mr. Sinha, so much for really candidly taking us through your cloud journey and how it helped you foster a truly collaborative culture across the organization and standardize your messaging and collaboration platform. What really resonated with me, and I'm sure it resonated with a lot of the audience here today, would be when you said that when you cross a certain barrier, there is no going back to the old technology, the old legacy way of working, and that is very true. I think it's about crossing that barrier before you actually realize the business value that lies at the other end. Thank you so much once again, and I will come back to you for any questions from the audience. But yes, definitely a big learning to take for all of us here. And thank you, Kamalika, for that wonderful and enlightening discussion and really bringing across the essence of real transformation that cloud can help achieve through Voltas' journey. So thank you, both of you. In the meanwhile, we saw in the discussion, and one of the things that really came across is that cloud is the key pillar in an organization's transformation journey. However, when it comes to really optimizing that journey and to maximize the results that you set out to achieve with cloud, having the right partner is equally critical, and it's important to hear the perspective of the partner. And to bring that perspective, I would now like to invite Ankit Sinha, VP Cloud Practice and Consulting at Searce. Ankit leads all practices and consulting teams for the APAC region. This includes the cloud, data, AI and ML, work transformation, local intelligence, app modernization, and cloud native app engineering practices. With over 16 years of tech and sales experience at IBM, SAP, Google, and most recently at Paytm, Ankit brings in the best of cloud and business understanding. So Ankit, over to you to take us through what Searce is all about and how it helps in the cloud journey for organizations.
Sure. Thank you, Shipra. Thank you, Sanjay sir. Thank you, Kamalika. That was actually very insightful for me to understand this decade-long journey. We were very, very privileged. We were very lucky to be part of it. And what I would like to do is to spend a little bit of time to add context and flavor as to what are the roles that the Searce teams from the consulting side and from the engineering side that we play for any organization who's charting, and each organization is very different. Their priorities are very different. So we'd probably like to see how it's kind of worked for us. The Voltas story was fascinating. It was one of those pioneering journeys. We kind of learned a lot through the journey, and the concept of people adopting change and then demanding change is what we also really, really stand for. From our perspective, that's allowed us to work with a variety of clients, and I hope you can see my screen. I've listed down a few handful of logos from let's say the more recent unicorn club to somebody who has been what is called traditionally the brick and mortar industry, across different sectors, people who were embracing change. In fact, we were very happy that even during lockdowns, very, very large organizations like the Kirloskar decided to move their platforms for all 3,000 plus users and switch to something like a G Suite. And I mean, the whole project kind of ran remotely, even from the customer side and our side. One would obviously assume that a new modern age company that did not have any legacy would choose what is right for them at that point of time. And hence you see several young age companies. But what should not come as a surprise is when you see 50 years old, 100-year-old organizations, some of the largest organizations which are spread across the country. I mean, Hero Group, the world's largest manufacturer of two-wheelers, construction organizations, people who perhaps have been in tier 2 cities. I mean, they all have actually embraced and figured out their steps with us. And we obviously learned a lot from them, and we then transfer all those learnings to every new customer engagement that we have. Searce, as a niche cloud consulting organization, focuses on obviously the cloud infrastructure and AI and ML use cases. We have grown from India, very proud to be headquartered in India, and we have grown to several countries outside India as well. And we bring all this experience working very, very closely with large organizations, some of you who are also listening in today. Just at our end itself, we have obviously got several thousands of customers who would have moved from some platform, G Suite platform, and that is something that kind of has been recognized by Google as well as a company that's really done a fair job of ensuring client success time and time again. I would probably spend 4-5 minutes on now what we are able to do for you after that brief introduction. Let's start at the bottom. We obviously have the COOs, the CIOs, the CISOs, the digital officers or the chief digital officers. And there are roles that people play. They wear multiple hats and stuff like that. But they obviously are trying to ensure that the needs of their leadership teams, their office staff, I've put office in quotes so that we'll come back to it. And then you'd also see that, the boundaries are blurring. You want to engage with your partners, your vendors, your customers, your third-party suppliers a lot more. And you might also have people that you traditionally did not connect with digitally. These could be your frontline staff, your staff on the field, your staff in the plants. And we popularly call it the connected worker place. So now we know that this problem has not changed. We had people that were responsible to bring in initiatives, and we had our internal customers trying to really demand the best of technology to enable them in their work. From an IT perspective, Google had been saying this for a very long time, and this is why Searce has been partnering with Google, because several years ago, they started talking about something that let's get rid of your virtual private networks. They are going to be very, very difficult to maintain. They are laggy. Let's get out of your VPNs. They always spoke about how security is broken if it's not integrated. Monitoring is different and difficult if there are multiple systems that you're managing it. And lastly, a core identity platform, or let's say a traditional Active Directory, it just seems to suck up a lot of resources. You keep buying technology to support technology, and you really never deliver on benefits. Hosting services, yes, there were several, and you had lots of enterprise applications. The manufacturing industry could be using SAP. There would be your procurement applications and all of that. We obviously wanted to ensure that there is a way to modernize this entire bridge. Obviously, from a user's perspective, what did Google really say? That there is going to be an information explosion. You will not be able to manage your folders on your Outlook anymore because you have just so many emails coming. There is no time to really sort out your email. Let's put the search front and center. So I'll come to the search piece again, and then again, let's look at devices. There is going to be a need for people, for organizations to be able to manage devices in a much more lighter manner. You want to have something that's called white glove deployment of desktops. You would want to have security on your desktops with virtual desktops or desktops as a service. And you would want to manage truckloads of mobile devices, which are more likely to be lost and stolen. And you don't want to have heavy, clunky MDM solutions that kind of slow the user experience down. All this is also then wrapped up nicely, which popularly people think is the core of G Suite, which is the communications platform. The Gmail, the chat, the Meet. There's a social network for enterprise use called Streams. There is this information management or the desktop document platform, which is drives, sites, Jamboards. I mean, Jamboards getting extremely popular because people now need to do whiteboarding from their homes. Editors includes docs, sheets, slides. And the last piece, we are in 2020. If there is no AI in a slide deck, then what kind of a slide deck it is? Voice, text, numbers. You can imagine that Google has been leading the way on machine learning, and to make machine learning and artificial intelligence practical. What we did at Searce is to say that whatever could be your pain point to start with, whatever could be your entry problem that we could discuss, we can have modular engagement and bring the power to modernize your technology stack at the bottom, try to ensure that people can work out of their office networks and your applications are still secure. People could have their infrastructure elasticity needs met at all points of time. And the powerful applications that we all are comfortable using, we can actually use for our work as well. I hope that if there is some pressure point at your organization that you'd like to discuss with us today, we will be very, very happy to deep dive into any of these. There have been cases in which people are not able to really go back to offices to scan their documents and to do the same business process that they did in the past. And then those digital experience journeys kind of come to the fore. And this is where we engage with people based on where their needs are. The cloud search, yeah. Who would not want to get the power of cloud within their entire application landscape, not just to scan through your emails or your calendar or your Drive documents, but also to be able to scan your enterprise systems as to where your purchase orders are stuck. That is what we really like to bring to the fore. And these are the kind of projects that we engage. Very quickly, we obviously come in where the customer is, and large enterprises will have different needs. We typically start with a consulting assignment, but what I can guarantee you from Searce perspective is we like to get into action very, very quickly. We don't want to stop at submitting a 25-page PDF report. We would like to understand your future of work. Probably we should change it, and now it's current work advisory. There are questions on business continuity. On the deployment side, there is heavy lifting, and people often worry, why change something when it's not broken? But the whole versionless world that we are getting to, it's great that you come onto a platform that finally then becomes versionless in perpetuity. Management, yes. Mr. Sinha stressed upon it that you want to now have a leaner management structure in place that allows you to do more with fewer resources. And that's what we say that, okay, it could be even as something as simple as your Microsoft Excel usage footprint, which we come with a softwatch monitoring and say, okay, only 10% of power users, we can manage those. And then on the optimization side, and I'm hoping that you're also taking the time to read through some of this stuff, we definitely would like to say, okay, shadow IT, truckloads of applications that have been developed by lines of business solutions. Nobody even knows in large companies who created them and who's managing them. But now those are the things which are preventing people to work effectively. And it's in no man's land today. So this is where we really come with elimination of shadow IT, with a stack simplification exercise, and try to deliver results that would help you get really, really harmonized IT across the board. I use the word office in quotes because thanks to the forces of nature, everyone is kind of getting out of office. For me, a very, very simple and straightforward way of engaging with you would be that we allow our cloud consultants to talk. The Google team's been very helpful, and they bring in all their expertise, and we typically work and engage together with the cloud teams at Google. And as soon as we identify the top most critical problems that you have, I would want to ensure that our architects can deep dive and kind of construct solutions and deploy for them. I've also shared my phone number and email address, though we plan to follow up with people who are listening in live. But in case you hear this, just you can give me a ring. Thank you so much. That's about me.
So we have been receiving platform. So the first question is for you, Ankit, and the question is that during the lockdown, how easy or difficult is it for any organization to move to G Suite now that everyone is working remotely?
Thank you for the question. Yes, we do foresee that there will be a continued out of office situation. And I can only speak from our experience working with some very, very large customer who moved thousands and thousands of users. The decision was taken in May and the project's gone live. People are adopting the solutions as well. Yes, the idea is to adopt everything that we kind of did from a change management and adoption programs to be able to do that remotely. But if you kind of look at the essence of what G Suite is, it was always meant to be a system of engagement. Your ERP applications are probably a system of records. So the fact that there is a system of engagement, it can definitely be rolled out during a lockdown situation. We are very, very prepared to understand the kind of limitations that you might have. And we are ready. Of course, we will try to construct the plan so that you can approve it before you actually click the execute button.
Okay. Great, Ankit. So, Mr. Sinha, there is one question for you. And the question is that one of the biggest hurdles for us has been change management and getting users to shift to a new platform. So any advice that you can give on how to make this a smooth experience for our employees, especially when we have employees of all age groups?
Yeah, and a very valid question, because this is exactly what we also faced. We were an old organization, people of multiple cultures, not only age groups, but multiple cultures across different geographies, even outside India. And like I said, there are 2-3 things that can be done. One is keep communicating to them that there is something new that is coming up. Okay, the participative nature of the engagement is very important. Don't sort of let it seem that it is being pushed down from the top. It is a technology. It is not a technology. You say that it is in the changing world. This is what you should be doing. And believe me, people will start using it. There are people there in our organization which couldn't have set up their own calendar meeting and set up a Google Meet. Now it's only a matter of seconds for them. It's become second nature to them. So engagement is one. Secondly, you have to do a lot of hand-holding and training, and you'll have to have local champions. If you're talking about multiple offices, in each of the offices, in each of the smaller teams, you'll have to have a local champion who will have the patience to stand beside that person and walk him through that. It's not more than 20-25 minutes total that a person sort of needs to sort of do it. Okay. So that is the second. Third thing is get them excited about the new things that they can do. So these would be some of my suggestions, that engaging, participative engaging, that is not being shoved down on you. Second is have some local champions who will have the energy and the enthusiasm to one-on-one, because IT will not be able to reach out to everywhere. And the third thing is do the training and talk about the advantage, the new life that will be available for them. They can do it on phone while they are traveling, or they can attend a meeting even on phone. They don't have to open the laptop. So these are the things. And what excites A will not excite B. So if a traveling person is there, you'll have to have a separate conversation with a hardcore finance and finance guy or an AutoCAD draftsman. So you'll have to make sure, but each has to be excited in his own small realm of working. So these would be some of sort of my suggestions.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think very, very clearly you have put it across in those three buckets, how to go about that creating that pull among the employees. So Kamalika, I have a question for you, and this is from one of the audience members. He wants to know that business continuity has been one of the top priorities for us. So can you share what Google has done in this aspect to help organizations during this pandemic?
So I think a big focus of our lockdown efforts has really been to anchor continuity for organizations. And you heard what Sanjay mentioned as the whole endeavors around Google Meet to make sure that people are kept working and that the organizations are connected and everybody is able to carry on their work, right? But it really went beyond just G Suite and Google Meet, right? We actually launched this whole slew of what we call the remote and working from home solutions, coupled together with security solutions that would actually take care of some of these concerns, right? So whether it was cloud native VDI solutions, it was Beyond Corp, which is our native security solution, which basically allows access without the trouble of a VPN. Solutions like Chrome, right, which anyway allow all of the remote working with added levels of security and protection of data. These were the things that actually we found were very topical, very needed in the aftermath of the pandemic. And in a sense, it gave a new definition to business continuity, right? Business continuity traditionally was focused on, do I have geo redundancy? Do I have a data center in a different seismic zone? For the first time, business continuity when there's no people or people can't travel or people are not available was brought to the fore, right? So therefore, the whole focus of business continuity changed from wherever the people are, we make them connected and we make them productive in a very safe and secure manner while safeguarding the data of the organization. And this is really where we found, as I mentioned to you, a whole lot of conversations around how we do this, what are the solutions that we bring to the market, and where we think cloud has a very, very significant role to play by the very nature of the technology.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.